Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Talk About It with Courtney. I'm your host, Courtney Carroll, your locally licensed therapist in Washington State and North Carolina State, your connection coach, and obviously the host of this podcast. Gosh, this week has flown by, and I had every intention of recording, and I feel like Sunday's almost like the next week, so I feel like I'm kind of not being consistent, but I'm going to give myself grace this week. We had an awesome family member visit us from out of state, and we just kind of took Thursday, my daughter and myself took Thursday and Friday to be with them. They flew in late Wednesday and just kind of threw up the schedule, but in a really good way. We got some really good family time. So if you were kind of wondering where the podcast episode was, I will give you an update on what that looks like. I kind of just film when it's just the most genuine and authentic time for me. Sometimes it's Wednesday, I try to do it by Friday, but at the end of the day, what I really come to learn about myself and what works best for me and the work I do is showing up as authentic and when it feels good. If you're the first time viewer today, I do not have a teleprompter behind the video recording. I show up just like I do in a therapy session. I always look over there. My computer and my desk is set up over there. This is like my little chair and comfy spot in my office. And as a therapist, you don't really know what you're walking into. I might have an idea what's going on with my client or my coaching client on what we talked about the week before. But not often do I talk to a client more than once or twice a week. So truly, when I show up or log into a session, I don't know what's going on, so I kind of just show up. So how do I bring this into my podcast if this is the first time you're listening in? I kind of ground myself for a few minutes before logging in. I'm really big into meditating. And so I try to spend 5 to 10 minutes on what kind of comes to me and what feels really right to talk about. And then on top of that, anything I've worked at during the week that's come up consistently with clients shows up in the room when I talk with you. So that's a little breakdown of how I show up. And this morning, something really sat strongly with me, and it aligns so well with several of my clients this week, is talking about learning to trust yourself or trusting yourself again. I never label the podcast until after I'm done recording. And then I kind of, again, spend a few minutes with it. And there's not a ton of editing. You'll hear dog barking. You'll hear noises. My daughter's actually home eating some lunch right now. There might be a breakthrough. If not, I'll pause. And what I mean when trusting yourself is, how do you do it after a breakup? How do you do it after a divorce? How do you do it based off some decisions that you're not proud of? And that's a tough one. Our first instinct is always to punish ourselves. And I have done that for so long. Why didn't I know better? Why didn't I do better? The woulda, coulda, shoulda game is huge, right? I'm sure we're all guilty about it. I can only speak to being a millennial in my generation, but I've worked with tons of different types of generations. I've seen clients from the age of literally 4 or 5 to 75. And so I have a pretty big wide variety of clients in different careers and everything. But what's consistent is the woulda, coulda, shoulda, or what should I have done differently? Gosh, especially after a conflict or a fight. Do you ever have that when you wake up the next morning, you're like, damn, I wish I would have said that. Or I could have done that better. Where we reacted and were activated and we responded before really calming our nervous system. And gosh, for so long, that fight or flight was going on. I've been there. I'm a testament to this. I would emotionally react before, what is it? What's really going on? What's really triggering my nervous system? Why am I upset? Why am I reacting to a situation that if I was calm and collected, I might not respond the same way? And then I get mad at myself. Not recognizing hey, I'm human just like you are human. We all make mistakes. We're not perfect. And what I like about that is it gives us room for growth. At the end of the day, we can't look back all the time. We can't live in that rear view mirror status, or else we won't be able to drive forward, right? You can't constantly, I envision my car, and I can't always look in the rear view mirror all the time, or else you'd fucking crash, right? And if you live in a state where you're constantly looking backwards, you can't move forwards. Move forward, right? And then I think about what happens after, and that's where the trust comes in. How do I trust myself? How did I not see that breakup coming? How did I disregard a yellow flag or two? And y'all, I can attest for that. So much with my exes have I just, gosh, so many yellow or red flags, and even with relationships with friends. I used to have some friends, like, I let all the way into my heart and then did not have my best interests. And at the end of the day, had it in relationships and friendships, breakups are pretty fucking tough. And I'm sure you've gone through that. And why didn't I do better? Why can I do better? Is that the question we're asking ourselves? How will I know different? That's a big one. My thing is, when I know better, like, know better, do better. I used to be such an open book almost right away in relationships, or especially friendships. I don't have a ton of experience being single. I've been single on and off for a few years now. I separated from my ex-husband. I think this summer will be 3 years. Wild. Yeah, is that true? 2 years? I don't know, y'all. It flies by. Hazel is 5, 2 years. Yeah, 3 years, almost 3 years. Okay, sorry. In North Carolina, if you've ever been divorced, you have to separate for a year, so it throws you off. I've been officially divorced in November, so yeah, I'm good now. Almost 3 years I've been separated from my ex-husband. And so I've dated here and there. I was engaged, had in that relationship too. If you're following along with my story, you know me personally, you know all of this, right? So I can't explain a ton in dating. I will always share what I do know, right? Like, you guys have known this by now. I am pretty much an open book. But what I have learned is, like, on the first date, that's not where your life story comes out. And I know it's so hard because I'm such a transparent, blunt, honest person. And I'm like, here's, like, hey, just so you know, bleh, like, that's where I'm at. And then I just feel like I regret it. I'm like, why did I make myself vulnerable to share something with a stranger? And I think it's always hard. And I think I talked about this on the podcast episode with my friend Trish that came on. It's like, you have to remember, when you're putting yourself out there and you're dating again, these are strangers. So it's not that you can't trust yourself. I think you're just so used to being in relationships that you know and are well established, right? I was married 11 years, together with my ex-husband for 13. Like, that was an established relationship, right? I didn't have to ever wonder if I was, like, dating or not dating. I was married. and my ex-fiance I grew up with, like, we grew up in a church together. We have a long history together. I've known him since I was 11. Like, so it was easy to, like, jump in. But what I think I learned the most from both is, like, don't jump all the way in. You know, really take your time. So anytime I kind of fuck up or I mess up, and that's a human word, right? Is anytime I hit a lesson that I needed to learn, I do better. We can't go back. Gosh, I wanted to say pivot, like Friends, but you can pivot. You can say, hey, I know that relationship didn't work out. What did I learn from it? And if you learn it and you don't repeat it, you can trust yourself. That's the only way I can tell you how I've earned trust with myself. And that's why I was able to walk away from an engagement and a life I was building with my ex-fiance, because I learned from my ex-husband. I learned I am not going to repeat patterns. As soon as the trigger warnings were alerted, as soon as a yellow flag turned into a red flag, my thing was, I'm out. I'm out. And I was engaged. I had moved and started, like, I'm from Washington, but, like, I had moved here thinking I was going to spend the rest of my life with someone. But what I learned from my ex-husband was, like, you see yellow, you see red, and it's no-go. And that's how I trust myself. I don't always know how and why things work out the way they do, but I do learn from them. And this is just one example of dating and relationships. But, you know, a few years ago, I don't know if I would have walked away from a relationship like that. especially love and hope for the future with someone, but I do now. And I do trust myself fully for the probably first time in my adult life where I don't sit in rooms that I'm not wanted. I don't pursue anyone that doesn't pursue me. I've learned to match energy with energy. So if you're wondering, how do I build trust with myself? How do I trust my intuition, my gut feelings? Courtney, for so long, I've ignored red flags and I did all this and that's how I got here. And that's usually when I get a client in, like, I've read your story, Courtney, or like I've heard about you through the grapevine, or I listened to an episode of your podcast. You really aligned to me. How do I get into a spot where I can not only just trust myself, but also like follow through? It's really recognizing what's in front of you. People will always show you who they are. Their actions always show you. And if you're out there dating or doing this, and again, I'm not like 100% expert, but like I'm getting there and I think I'm qualified to speak to it. Anyone can be anyone for 3 to 6 months. Anyone. You can be the greatest boyfriend, girlfriend in the entire world. You can show up, you can do everything. But after that, like that's when usually trickling things come in. And everyone's like, well, gosh, me and my girlfriends were talking about that this week. One of them were asking like, hey, I was dating this guy, everything was going great, and then he went MIA, and then she was starting to blame herself. Did I do something wrong? She did nothing wrong. I just said, I think he's just not interested. And that's apparently the wrong thing to say to some people. What do you mean? I was like, he's showing you exactly what he is. And I've been there, by the way. I get there sometimes when I have a crush and it doesn't work out or something. And it's easy to go be like, what's wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. Unless you know something wrong with you. If you royally messed up or you did something, we all make mistakes. But like, if there's no big evidence that says I did something wrong, that male or female is just showing you who they are. If someone's genuinely interested in you, they will genuinely make effort. And instead of going, what's wrong with me? Who am I? And if this is you, it's not time to date. It is so not time to date. And I love you. Please don't hate me. But if you're immediately going, what did I do? How do I make this better? Could I do better? Should I chase him? Should I chase her? No. Recognize like that desire. Like, you might be like me, where I was so used to chasing my own relationship, which is wild. Or being used to that love is hard. I talked about my childhood and what it was like to like try to receive love and get love from my parents, a mother that was absent in my life because she was an addict, and marrying someone that probably wasn't emotionally available due to his own past and stuff, and then me picking and choosing to stay in a relationship that wasn't healthy for me, right? That's my accountability. Like, I chose just as much as he did, but now I don't do that anymore. And sometimes I feel like, gosh, it must be nice to sit in my seat over here. No, I worked really hard to get to the seat. To be able to even talk to you about this. It's been a rough road. And I wouldn't change it because it put me in the seat right now to talk with you. I'd feel so alone. And like I would, especially dating after leaving my ex-husband, and how people ghost you or like love bomb you and then out of nowhere, like, all right, I'm not interested, or someone asks you on a date and like, oh yeah, let's do it again, kiss goodnight, and then not hear from them. Like, that's wild. But instead of going into like hyperventilating and having anxiety, I kind of just thank you, the universe, God, whatever you believe in. I'm like, thank you for showing me their level of interest in me. Thank you for showing their level of interest in me. Because I do strongly believe the right person would fight for you, would work things out, would either, if you're in a relationship, would go to couples counseling with you, or they would go get their own help. But so many of us are so scared to be alone. And I think that's where we lack trust in ourselves. That's where we lack those instincts, is because we would rather not be lonely. And I say quotations as like, I've had a client recently tell me, I'm single now I'm less lonely than I was ever in my marriage. And she didn't realize how lonely she was in her relationship, in her marriage. And I remember feeling certain like connections with that, you know? I'm like, yeah, I would rather be alone in my own house with my daughter and not have a Friday date night or a Saturday date night or whatever it is. I'm so content to be where I'm at. It's hard not to focus on how everything will work out. I'm with you. But to sit with like yourself, heal yourself. So many of us are stuck trying to move forward and chasing what's next versus sitting with what's now. The way to learn how to trust yourself is being with yourself. And if you're ready to date, just again, my best advice is their actions will show you their level of interest. I promise. And that doesn't make them bad people at all. It doesn't at all. I really strongly believe people only can give you what they have or their level of interest. And it's either enough or not. You should never wonder if someone's interested in you. No. Are you interested in you? Are you confident enough to know, I know what I bring to the table? You know, like, what is that saying? Gosh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Oh gosh, it's right there. Like, there's these like TikToks and videos, and I'm going to speak to women, but men, I want you to know I'm talking to you just as much. I'm not saying women are always like this or men are versus that way. I have incredible male clients and men in my life that I love and adore, especially my brothers and cousins and amazing male clients. So when I say this, but it's just like, it's a viral thing. And I think women are just more in that loop. Stop thinking you're just at a chair at a table when you are at the table. When people when first dates, like, what do you bring to the table? If you're single and you're taking care of yourself, you're working full time and you're able to take care of everything, your mental health is in check, you're taking care of your health, you are the fucking table, right? Isn't that what they say? Like, I'm the fucking table. I don't need a chair here. And you don't have to prove yourself to anyone. You are trying to prove your love for someone or to prove that this is enough, or your fiance or boyfriend, I guess not fiance, like your boyfriend or girlfriend are pushing for marriage and it's not easy or it's not exciting. You know what to do. The reason why we stop trusting ourselves is because we don't want to be alone, or we don't think we deserve better. Hear me out. We don't think we deserve more, or we can't get better, or we don't want to be alone. Like, isn't that wild? And by the way, y'all, I've been there. There's no judgment here. If you're in a committed relationship and you don't know, and I'm not saying like marriage, I'm just going to use an example because there's amazing partnerships where they never get married, and honestly, more power to them. Maybe they buy a house, maybe they still have kids, or maybe like you live separate. Like, I don't know, and you're perfectly happy. I'm not talking to y'all. I'm talking about if you're in a relationship with someone that wants marriage, wants the future, and if it's not exciting, you know that person isn't for you. Because it should be an easy yes. Just like a date, getting asked out on a date, you know if you want to see them again, right? You know. And if you're in that spot, right, man, I really like that girl, Courtney, I really do, but man, I'm a mess. How am I going to be? Tell her, tell him, hey, I love that date, and honestly, I see some real potential with you, but right now, like, I need to take care of myself. And that doesn't mean you get to go back on the dating apps and date whoever you want. It just means like, hey, I know I want something more. Go work on yourself. People skip this step all the time. So freaking much. It drives me nuts. And by the way, like, again, not perfect. But if you're jumping to a relationship, or if you're forcing a relationship, or if you're like some of my friends, and I've been in this spot where you're like waiting for someone to text you or ask you out or do these things, lean into why you're waiting. Lean into why you don't value yourself enough to walk away from that relationship, or you're not willing to be alone. Because meet yourself. You can trust yourself again if you listen. And that's when I'm discussing like these like really important points, like answers. And like that's where like that gut intuitive feeling comes in. Like it should be like a heck yes or a strong yes. It should not be a maybe. You know? If you're second guessing yourself and like maybe you messed up on a date, I've been there, and you're like, hey, I still like you, I'm interested in you, did I cross the line? And if they ghost you or they're not answering you, you got your message. Stop forcing. We force something, we're not listening to ourselves. Lean in and learn. I'm sure I've shared this before. One of my favorite things my therapist has told me is that all relationships are teachers. All triggers are messages, right? And I still love when she said, and when you're dating someone, they're strangers. Like, I still remember that light bulb moment. But if you're being triggered, if you're like going inward, and again, I'm not saying you can't mess up, because like we all can mess up. But at the end of the day, if you're like, why are they not interested? They're just not interested. And chances are it has nothing to do with you. Can you trust yourself to believe that? I trust in you to believe in that. What's made for you or meant to be, and it's okay if you don't like believe in that like concept, but you believe in yourself. Like, things should be easy and free flowing or natural. You shouldn't have to chase love. And I think that's the hardest thing I learned to start trusting myself again, was not to push against my limits or force things when I have a gut feeling that says this isn't right, or it's not flowing. Not all relationships are not easy all the time, 100%, but they should be pretty easy the first couple months. And it's all about how you can get through conflict and how you can get through what's next, on how you kind of get through that. But my message today that I kind of want to just leave with you, if you're wondering, how do I trust myself? How do I not lean into the woulda, coulda, shoulda game? Leave the woulda, shoulda game. Throw that shit out the window. Throw it out the window. Just throw it out. You can trust yourself by listening to yourself. If someone asks you out and you're like, not really, say no. If that partner is ready for the next stage in the relationship and you're not, and you might know that you're not, it's gonna suck, but in the relationship. I've done it. Hardest thing I've ever done is last year is leaving a relationship. Not hardest. My divorce was way harder. Second hardest thing I've ever done was breaking up with someone I loved because I knew it wasn't aligned to the life I want. That if it was already hard, it wasn't going to be a good future. And thankfully, I've had so many lessons in my life where I've learned love should not be hard. And it should be open and honest and transparent. And I learned not to second guess myself anymore. If something feels off, trust the off. If you're wondering like if this guy's for you or if this girl's for you, if you're wondering if, there's your answer. And the only exception to that rule is if there's healing you have to do. And that is perfectly acceptable. Perfectly acceptable. If I would have gotten into anything this last 6 months, I would have been like, I'm not ready. I'm healing. Because I had 2 major breakups within a few years, and I'm not in a place to give my whole heart. Like, I'm a mom first and foremost. I am a therapist, coach second. And up until like now, I wasn't really ready for more. You know, I was punishing myself for not seeing something I didn't see before. And gosh, when you know better, you do better. I acknowledge like when I could have done something different. And if I owe an apology, I apologize. And if not, I just trust people to show me exactly who they are. So if you don't trust yourself, or you're getting curious about it, lean into me. Maybe you can trust me. People will show up authentically them. It should never feel forced. If it feels forced, pressured, triggering, I encourage you to listen to your body. Your body will always tell you. Gosh, I posted something the other day on TikTok, and Jessie from Real House of Mormon Wives, is that the show? Secret Lives of Mormon's Wives, sorry, Jessie. She was doing an interview on Call Her Daddy, and I haven't seen the full episode, so don't judge your therapist. Like, but there's clips going on, and she's like, your body knows. Your body will tell you when something's wrong. If there's one message she really wanted to get out to females on the show, at least, again, this is the clip I watch, is your body knows. She goes, I think her ex-husband's Jordan. I've seen two seasons, so keep that in mind. So if I'm getting any of these names wrong, of course, correct me, right? She goes, I would know when I'd flinch or when he went around me, and I'd say, don't touch me, or I'd cry after sex, or I'd force myself to have sex. Like, any of that, she's realizing her body was the answer. And she's now getting a divorce and everything, and she's already feeling brighter, lighter, and she really reiterated, like, my body kept telling me. Our body is our only compass to universe or higher power, right? At least that's my belief. It's okay if it's not yours. But our gut intuition will tell us or manifest in our bodily reactions. So if you can't trust yourself, what does your body feel? You're in a room with someone and you're feeling anxious. Should you be in that room with them? If you have to force yourself to sleep with someone to keep them in a relationship, what is your body telling you? Trust yourself. And if you don't know how, tune into your body. You know, so many people struggle going home for the holidays because it's anxiety, it's their childhood stuff. And I've literally encouraged clients, don't go home for the holidays, or stay at a hotel, stay at somewhere else, to take care and nurture your body and your mental health. Know your limits. You can trust yourself if you listen to yourself. And that's like if you can't do therapy, maybe you can't afford it, maybe you haven't found the right therapist. And I offer this almost every single time. If I'm a good fit, reach out. I will see if I can get you into my schedule. If I'm not a good fit, I will help you find someone that is, okay? You are not alone. I promise you that. Like, there's support for you. And if you're having anxiety, panic attacks, like you're in a relationship and you want out, or you don't know if you want out, like really either journal it out if you can't meet with someone in hand, or what does your body tell you if you're with someone? Your body will tell you. And leaning into those triggers, leaning into, like, really listening to people too. We have learned as a society to romanticize love and connection. And I can't speak to men, I've never been a male, but like, to force connection or to wait something out or to chase something or believe like, oh, they'll come back around or anything. Take people at face value and learn from it. You did nothing wrong. So sitting the what coulda, woulda, shoulda. And if you did something wrong, learn from it. Next time, do different. If there's something that triggered you and you've messed up, you fucked up, like, go to therapy. Why did I do that? Lean into that. And if you lean into your body and your soul, journal, check in, really heal yourself, you'll get there. So until next time, guys, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for hanging.